그래서 연결된 질문인데요. 이제 저희가 8월 15일이 되면 광복 80주년을 맞습니다. 일본의 속박에서 벗어난 지 80년이 됐는데 미국에도 비슷한 독립기념일이 있다고 알고 있습니다. 이 독립기념일은 선생님께 어떤 의미가 있는지요? 또 광복을 맞이하게 될 광복절을 맞이하는 한국 사람들에게 어떤 말씀 해주시고 싶으신지요?
Well, I want to say that as we become aware across cultures, across nations, of these important historical moments in which we were able to celebrate liberation, um, let's join hands in understanding that liberation is what the human spirit, the human soul deserves and demands. And let's never give up on the struggle to achieve liberation for everyone, because none of us is liberated until all of us are. That's part, I think, of being aware of the community bonds that hold us together. In the case of our Independence Day, the 4th of July, of course, it was the day in which we declared independence from the King of England and from his autocratic authoritarian rule. And now Americans are challenged to celebrate that day in the face of a president who wants to be king, a president, along with the Supreme Court of the United States, which has given that president king-like powers, so that instead of us being a nation of laws and not men, which was a big part of why we declared independence, so that we could become a nation of laws and not men, we are going back to a nation of men who call the shots. And that's unacceptable. And so these Independence Days, they keep challenging us with new forms of opposition to what they were about in the first place. And we have to translate and declare independence all over again. I don't know if what I read about your Independence Day is accurate, but the literal translation of the Korean name for this day I read is the day the light returned. I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what one text said. Whether that's true or not, I love it. I love the notion that independence means the day when light returns. I mentioned an article that I wrote on my Substack page last week about bearing witness. And in that article, I told this story, which I'll end my answer with. It's a very moving story for me about one of the most remarkable men I've ever known. His name was Joel Elkes. He grew up in Lithuania. And before the Nazis invaded Lithuania, his parents sent him to England for an education. The fact that they did that saved Joel's life. And he went on to use that education to great, great effect and influence. He became one of the world's leading researchers on the chemistry of the brain and the chair of psychiatry at Johns Hopkins University in the US, a very distinguished institution. He died a few years ago at age 101. But during the Holocaust, he lost 11 members of his family when the Nazis took over Lithuania and murdered 95% of Lithuanian Jews. Joel was one of the most compassionate, loving, generous, affirming, and really funny people I've ever known. He's a great example for me of the heart broken open into largeness, because I can't imagine a more heartbreaking life than Joel Elke's led. And some years back, I facilitated a circle of trust of which Joel was a member. This was in the wake of 9/11 and the Iraq War, which of course was based on falsehoods. We sat in the circle talking about how to create safe spaces for truth tellers in a world that is based so often on lies. Joel listened for quite a while, and as our conversation was coming to a break, he spoke so eloquently for 5 minutes or so with a phrase that I'll never forget. And this is back in the early, this is back probably almost 20 years ago. He said, "Darkness is falling on our world, so we must learn to become gardeners in the dark." Perfect image for gardening the people's hearts, it seems to me. Darkness is falling fast on our world, so we must learn to become gardeners in the dark. And I believe that our Independence Days call all of us to become gardeners in the night, and also, like Joel, bearers of the light. The day of the light returned. So I'll leave it there.
예, 한국의 광복절과 미국의 독립기념일이 이렇게 연결될 줄 몰랐습니다. 그리고 우리 광복절 한자로 쓰니까 빛의 도럼 이렇게 생각 안 해봤는데 좀 놀랍네요.